From deep in the heart of a jungle, far, far away from the contrivances of mankind, lives a man who has dedicated his life to the pursuit of truth. Out here in the remote section of jungle, he has come to be known as the Truth Bwana.
Dang bugs got it. Oh, hello out there. Truth Bwana here. Today we're going to tackle the issue of climate change. Well, very good. If indeed climate change is occurring, it would be a significant problem that will affect all life on this planet. If it is occurring, this species-threatening issue should not be political any more than finding out that a loved one has cancer. It simply must be dealt with. And just like cancer, the later you wait to start treatment, the slimmer your chances of survival. A recent poll revealed that almost 40% of Americans don't believe that climate change is real. I, the Truth Bwana, trying very hard not to be political, would make an educated guess that the majority of those 40% of the people who don't believe in climate change are of the Conservative Party. Why do I guess that? Because a great deal of the information that has gone into the brains from the conservative machine has been anti-climate change. Almost unanimously, the political leaders of the Conservative Party decry and mock claims of climate change. They slur those who would make the claims. Why would they do that? Why would people who have little or no scientific background, probably none, and who probably have not read any of the actual scientific reports, would be so vehemently opposed to the finding of the world's leading scientists? Remember the cost of the elections in episode 3. The fossil fuel industry, which is perhaps the biggest honcho in the status quo, is also the primary contributor to atmospheric pollution, what leads to climate change and the dying of the Earth's oceans. Claims of climate change and global warming could significantly impact the incomes of all industry bigwigs. In order to prevent that from occurring, they are a very major contributor to the political coffers of conservative candidates, to the tune of many tens of millions of dollars each election. So what we have here is a symbiotic relationship between the fossil fuel industry and the Conservative Party. Because the Conservative Party embraces the status quo and its major player, the fossil fuel industry, the Conservative Party's TV network, the Conservative Party's TV network continues the propaganda theme and mocks all claims of climate change or global warming and disparages those who do. Also, because there has been a concerted effort by the fossil fuel industry to deny climate change, taking a page from the tobacco industry, who successfully thwarted anti-tobacco efforts for many years by undertaking an aggressive knowledge obfuscation program. A recent study by Drexel University found that conservative foundations and others have bankrolled climate denial to the tune of $558 million between 2003 and 2010.
That's a big figure.
That's a very, very big figure. Lots of zeros.
That too.
You may be wondering what my lovely sister Inga has been doing. She is assembling 2 piles of stuff to go on a set of scales. Since we're in a jungle and don't readily have a set of scales, you're going to have to use your imagination just a wee bit here. So just imagine that she's planning to put each of 2 items on a set of scales. One side, let's call it side A, contains all the scientific climatological data collected by the world's most reputable scientific organization and goes back hundreds of thousands of years and would fill up this jungle in tall stacks. The other side, B, is a big pile of money which could be used to finance elections, to buy tons of mass media PR propaganda and could also be used to suppress or obfuscate the data collected by the scientific organizations.
So many big words today.
Yeah. Thank you, Jose. Side A has plenty of truth and no buying power. Side B has very little truth but has a ton of purchasing power. Which side do you think will prevail?
Money!
Oh, yes. Make it rain.
You are so right, Inga and Jose. In this world, truth just doesn't have a chance against money. However, climate change is a problem of massive proportions and is unprecedented in all of mankind's history. If not resolved and resolved soon, it will have tragic consequences for man and all of animal kind. Scientists keep up with a lot of natural information. That's what they do. Besides being able to accurately measure atmospheric pollutants, science also measures average world temperatures, ocean levels, ocean temperatures, pH and salinity, Arctic and Antarctic ice changes, glacier changes, and all sorts of world meteorological information. Through ice core sampling, they can go back more than 650,000 years and tell you the composition of the atmosphere for all of those years. They can tell you, for example, that through the atmospheric and climate swings through all of that time, which includes 7 ice ages and thaws, CO2 levels, carbon dioxide levels, never exceeded 300 parts per million. Even in the worst of the warming of times, we now exceed 400 parts per million. CO2 is the most significant man-made greenhouse gas and is the culprit scientists are most concerned about because first, it is the one with the greatest quantity, and second, it just hangs around for such a long time. Some of it lasts up to thousands of years. So when the new stuff goes into the atmosphere, the old stuff is still there. It just keeps piling up. Some of the CO2 is naturally absorbed by the oceans, which gets it out of the atmosphere, but raises the acidity of the oceans, which may even be more of a problem.
Jose,
Global
like,
warming has happened at various times in the past 2 million years. It has taken the planet about 5,000 years to warm 5 degrees. Think of that. In the worst of times, 5,000 years to warm 5 degrees. The prediction is, in the next century, it will go up at least 10 degrees. 100 years, 10 degrees versus 5 degrees for 5,000. I told you at the outset that I have known a great many MDs and PhDs. Let me say without being too disparaging that they tend towards prima donnaism.
Prima donnaism. A person who thinks he or she is better than everyone else and who does not work well as part of a team or group.
I like Madonna.
Prima donna, of course.
Oh, before she was
might be
Madonna, yes.
To get 2 out of 10 normally to agree to something would be almost a miracle.
It's a miracle.
To get 98% of the world's scientists to agree, 100% if you take away those who work for the fossil fuel industry, to get 98% to agree to something is absolutely earth-shaking. What they all are quite certain about is that not only is our climate changing, it is changing rapidly, and the change is due to man's pollution. The only things that there's some disagreement about concerns the nature of the bad things that are going to happen and how soon they're going to happen.
Yes.
Highly reputable and respected scientific organizations such as NOAA, the United Nations, and meteorological societies of all the civilized nations, they are all warning man that we are facing potentially disastrous consequences if we don't act now. Some scientists believe that we have already crossed the point of no return. That is, we'll never recover to where we used to be. The severe droughts, the flooding, the high tornadic activity, the severe weather, all the extreme weather are now the new norm. and they will only get worse
Oh
as
no.
we continue to dump pollutants in the atmosphere by the megatons. As I mentioned a little earlier, perhaps even more potentially disastrous than climate change and rise in oceans, rise in temperatures, and the more extreme weather is what's happening to our oceans. As massive amounts of CO2 are going into the atmosphere, very large amounts are now being absorbed by our oceans, raising ocean acidity rapidly. Some scientists are predicting that the oceans could be dead within 50 years. And if the oceans go, folks, we go. Well, enough already. We could talk scientific data for the next 2 months, but you get the point. Once again, since the status quo is not moving to resolve this issue in earnest, it's up to you and me. At the very least, do not vote for any politician who puts the interest of the fossil fuel industry over the interest of mankind. At least if you anticipate having children or grandchildren. Evidence supporting climate change caused by humans is spectacularly overwhelming. So if a legislator denies it in the face of all the massively overwhelming evidence, there's something other going on here than truth.
Money.
Yep, I think Inga has it right again. My conclusion is that this generation, you all who are 18 to 30 years old, may well be the last generation to have a chance to undertake the changes that can preserve our species. I believe that you all are the generation that will decide the game. I think now I would like some of Inga's liquid refreshment. Would you, Inga, and Jose like to join me?
Of course.
Oh yes.
Next episode, though, we'll try not to be so depressing. Until then, to you all out there, keep smiling, but keep your eye on your politicians. So for now, so long, and we'll see you next time. Bye, all.
Bye, guys.
Bye bye.